backstory of why I thought that we should start this conversation. Richard was here last week, so I'm sorry this is kind of repetition for you, but then we just have to do this again. So I remember when I started building my business at the time, my first baby was nearly a year old, and my second baby was just 3 months old. And I thought that I needed to, split my time into two just to be able to manage all of this. During the daytime, I take care of the children, and at night, I'm always up building the business. And it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of learning, personal development, growth, and building all of this. And I was like everything in one. I was the graphics designer, I was the content creator, I was the social media manager, I was just everything. So it wasn't easy managing that phase. And I remember that in fact, of my life. It was the loneliest season because while I was building this thing, there was nobody to actually beckon on, like, oh, what are you doing presently? How are you doing this and all? It was just me trying to build the whole thing. And it was hard because those season was very quiet. Things were not working the way I expected. Of course, we just started all of this thing, 1 or 2 gig had entered, we've been able to do 1 or 2, and it feels like a very something visible that we can do. So I was like, oh, let me just put everything, because I'd quit my 9 to 5, so there was no going back at that period. And I was like, let me just put everything I can, do everything I can do to just make sure that this thing actually thrives. And that period was actually very quiet for me. Nothing was happening. I was just learning. I was just building. I was just trying. I was reaching out, rejection upon rejection, and nothing was working. And I was lonely. There was no one I could actually call on and say that this is what I'm going through. In fact, the communities I was at the time was not really helpful. So I have to put all my head in it and make sure that something works. And I know that there's so many moms that are going through this quietness and this phase presently, trying to build their business and, take care of their children on the side. So I thought that there are so many conversations around business building. There are also conversations around motherhood, but we hardly hear conversation around, this quiet season where we are trying our best possible and nothing seems to be working. We are launching out, doing everything to make sure that the business works out, but it's not working. And I just feel like, okay, let's have this conversation around this. This quiet season, and that's why I thought we should start Mom's Founder conversation. So thank you very much. And when I thought of who I should invite for this second episode, there was nobody else I could think of but Lara Onipede. Thank you very much for choosing to tell us your story today and for choosing to give us strategies that will help us grow in this slow season. Thank you very much. So let me do a quick introduction of who Lara Onipede is. She's someone whose entire work is about helping people close the gap between who they are and who they can become. She calls it becoming rooted thriver. You see, Lara is a personal and professional growth strategist and the founder of the Rooted Thriver Network. It is a community built around helping high potential people grow with intention, even in season that feels slow. And what makes today even more special is that Lara is a mom. In fact, she is a mom of 3. So this isn't just a theory. Like, she's not here to teach us just theory. She knows exactly what it feels like to build something while raising children at the same time. She's someone who has worked hands-on with data and technology, and I love that about you, really, because it means everything she's going to teach us here today is not just inspirational, it is actually structured. She also writes and speaks about intentionality, about doing hard things on purpose, and about how about how the ability to push through difficulty is one of the most valuable skills you can build in business and in life. So please, can I get some fire emoji? Welcoming Lara Onipede. Fire emoji, please. Can I get that? You're welcome. I want you all to know that she might not have the perfect answer for you today, but I believe that by the time you hear her story, you will see what is actually possible as a mom building a business on the side. I also believe that at the end of this conversation, every mom founder joining us today or watching the replay will go knowing fully well that you are not behind. You are not building your business alone. And this quiet season has a purpose for you. So thank you very much once again for joining me for this conversation, Lara. And a
You're
quick
welcome.
show up cycle. I mean, show up community brought us together. Yeah. Shout out to show up community. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this community because of all the community I've been in. Show up cycle happen to be number one. All right. So before we dive deep into our question for today, I would love to ask you one specific thing. And I want just one sentence answer for this. But this thing I want to ask you. So if a mom founder in a completely science season right now took everything you're about to share with us to heart in one sentence, what do you think would actually change for her?
She will keep growing.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm going to be, because you wanted one sentence, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be in that silent season,
Mm-hmm.
and that silent season is not going to change all of a sudden. But if you follow what we are doing here today,
Mm-hmm.
you pay attention to the strategies, the conversation, not just this episode, maybe the previous one and the ones that will be coming after now, I can assure you that you will keep growing.
Thank you.
I'm a person of faith, Christian faith to be specific. If in one sentence, your path will be as a shining light
Mm-hmm.
that keeps shining brighter and brighter onto a perfect day. You will find out that silence is not same as darkness. It's part of the deal. So you will keep growing.
Thank you very much. I believe that with this that she has said, everyone on this call, you are actually ready to stay to the end of this conversation because you want that strategy as a mom, having to navigate that phase of taking care of your children and also building your business. No be shere shere.
No, not at all.
In fact, let me gist you. There are times where I will wake up in the middle of the night to do something. Like I will open my laptop 2 p.m. I mean 2 a.m. in the morning, and the next thing I will start doing is tears dropping out of my eyes. Why? Because I
Wow.
was tired. I was overwhelmed. It feels like
Mm.
nothing was working. So I know what it is to grow in this season. I really, really do know what it is. So thank you once again. Let's go straight into our first question for today. So we want you to tell me about a season in your own life, business or otherwise, where it felt like nothing you tried was working and it was quiet. What was that season like for you?
Okay. I've had several of those seasons, right? I've had more than one. I think they come every now and then, right? So we all just have to become experts at managing that, at managing such seasons, right? But one that comes to my mind was when I first got married and I was ready to have my kids, and they were not coming forth. Yeah, so for about 3 years, I was I was no for 2 years, because by the time my marriage was 3 years, I was pregnant. I became pregnant and was expecting a baby. But for the first 2 years of being ready to have a child and doing everything I could, it wasn't working. At a point, I was seeing a gynecologist every weekend, like more like every weekend, to track my follicles, to do this, to do something or the other on my hormones, right? So that is a season that comes to mind as you asked me this question. I said I've been through such seasons again and again.
Yeah.
When I relocated was another time. I had just moved into an entirely different place. I couldn't continue with the profession I was doing before because I taught in Nigeria, and here I am in Canada. I taught as a chemistry graduate,
Mm.
not an education graduate, so I couldn't teach in Nigeria. So that's just to tell you, I have had some of my own fair share of such seasons where you're doing everything you can, you're crossing the T's, dotting your I's, and it seems nothing is coming. It felt like I was out of control. And I know that is one of the hardest things for us as human beings. We like to have, we have to we like to have the feeling that we are in control, that we are in charge, that we can change things. But such silent seasons made me feel like I was not in control. It felt like I was not in control, that there was nothing I could do to change what my circumstances were. So, to answer your question, that how did it feel like? It felt like I was out of control. Talking about feelings, it felt like I was helpless, to be sincere. It felt like I was helpless because, yeah, when you have done everything that
Yeah.
you know to do and nothing seems to be those feelings are real. We are going to talk about how to move on despite those feelings, how to make sure those feelings don't stop you. But it honestly feels like you are out of control. It feels like you're helpless. It feels like it's going to be forever. That's another feeling I can remember now. It felt like that season was never going to change, but it did change.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what I want to ask now, with respect to what you just said, because you just told us a phase of, I mean, when you're struggling to, get pregnant and it was not working right. So I want to know, during this season, were you also building your business at that period? And while you're building your business at that period, how were you able to navigate that phase? That phase of having to, build your business, and you have a whole lot of things on the side that you were not in control of at all. How were you able to manage that phase?
Okay. So, before I answer the question directly, I want to give everyone that is watching this live with us, or that would be watching, perspective. I mean perspective because when we say business, sometimes for a very long time, when I hear the word business, I think it means maybe I have some product that that. But business is whatever you have in front of you at the moment. For business, for my business has been about coaching, about building the Rooted Thrivers network and trying to get one-on-one clients to do clarity with them, right? And so maybe what you would call business now is your profession, is the career you are building. Maybe that is your business. Because if you read the word of God, it says, mind your own business. And I'm sure it wasn't talking about, right? Business is what you have before you that you have to still do. That's your business, despite all this background distractions, or what do we call them now? All these feelings, all the all the things that could stop you, right? So when I don't want you to exclude yourself from the conversation because of the word business. We are all into business in some ways. We are all we all have something to trade with. We have been blessed with talent, and it will be required of us to give an account, just like it was with those three guys. One had five, the other had two, and the other had one, right? And it was requested of them what they did with what they had been given. So we all are trading, we all are into business. So with that foundation in place, I want to be as sincere as possible. It was not always easy to, I don't know, there's a background sound. I don't know, is it coming from my end or yours?
Oh, there's
Like
nothing.
an echo, like a feedback.
Right, please. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue. Like, I'm sure she's going to check it. So having established the fact that you are into business in some ways. Okay. Could be this.
How's it now? Better?
Yeah, it is. So since we have established the fact that you are into business, you have something before you that you are expected to build, to multiply, to make better. So it was not always easy to do those things. I had mornings when it felt like don't not even getting out of bed, right? Because for you to do your business, you have to get up every day and do it again and again and again. So I had mornings when it wasn't easy. I don't feel like continuing. A lot of my own business had to do with researching about personal development, taking courses myself so that I can deliver I can over deliver to my clients. I was not always feeling like doing all of those. I will tell you that naturally the default feeling you are going to have in silent seasons is to abandon every other thing and focus and just make your narrative and make everything about life be about the silent season, right? So we are moms, and then we are moms here, and we also have maybe one or two men who love moms, right? So thank you for coming along. But if you have a wife, if your wife has became a mom, so you've watched your wife being mom or whatever, you are in the right place. But as moms, we know how easy it is to just say it's the kids, because realistically that season when your kids are very young, they need you, they are totally dependent on you, is a very silent season. You cannot be everywhere. And how easy and powerful and acceptable is it, for example, to tell Mary that I can't be on that live because on this very Saturday my husband is not going to be around, I won't have anyone to be with my kids. It's such an acceptable excuse because we're talking about kids, for goodness sake. So the default feeling you will have is to feel like I cannot combine any other thing. I'm waiting to have a child. So for now, the temptation will be to postpone every other thing until the babies come. Because I'm sure that was the question you asked me. But the purpose of this conversation is to tell you not to yield to that temptation. I would tell you that you would not be able to do everything, but make sure you're stretching. Make sure you are doing as much as you can do. Don't allow yourself to be put down by those excuses. It's not easy being in a silent season, accepted, right? But there is no excuse that is peculiar to any one of us. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. If you are a mom, for example, and you have five kids, and maybe they are very close in age, and you use that as an excuse, I have five kids. You know what happens? You're going to find yourself, you're going to just come across a woman with 12 kids doing all the things you said you cannot do. So
Absolutely.
this is a community. I believe Mary's community accepts and validates those excuses. We know we can relate to those excuses. And to tell you the truth, the default feeling is just to let everything go. I just want to be about this. I just want to be about this. But we want to encourage you to not yield to that temptation to quit every other thing, but to keep building.
Oh,
I hope I answered your question. If you
yeah.
need me to give any more, just ask me for
Question.
more.
Oh my God, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. So another question I have, I was going through your Substack content and I saw something. You wrote about doing hard things repeatedly,
Yeah.
like training your brain to believe there is a way. There is a way. So for a mom sitting in total silence in her business right now, not knowing anything, not knowing any, I mean, knowing if anything is working, how does that proof collecting that you spoke of, how does, I mean, that you mentioned, how does that actually help us survive today? I mean, if she would take that proof collecting you spoke of and work on it today, how does that actually help?
Okay. So for context, I'm on Substack as Lara Onipede. Subscribe, please. Go and follow me. I have an article there talking about the power of doing hard things and collecting proofs, receipts when you do them. And the question you are asking is for a mom who is in silence now, who suddenly find out that she's overwhelmed by by raising young kids. And you know what? How this will help you is you just have to remember the times you have survived in the past. That's what I mean. If you had, some people had a very hard time securing admission into university, for example, and they
Yeah.
have to write the jam a couple of times. If you have such a story and you collected proof, you documented your program, the process that it took you to write that exam repeatedly and finally secure an admission. When you find yourself in this season where it seems you cannot go on, you just have to remind yourself, but I did this.
Yeah.
But I did this.
Mm.
I have done it before. It looked a little bit different from what it looks now, but I have pushed against the wall in time past, and so I can do it again.
Mm.
I can do it again. So when you just have to do hard things a couple number of times, and then what happens is that your brain, your self image, is now giving an archive of hard things you have done. You have done a couple of hard things. For example, I have I've gone through a couple of hard things. I have dealt with infertility, found myself at the other end by the grace of God. I have relocated with young kids. I have had to pivot my careers from a non-tech to a tech background. I've found myself in rooms where I'm totally different. I don't even understand in full what they are saying, but it's a room where I have to participate in. And
Yeah.
then so many things. But because when you find yourself in those situations and you push through and you make sure you collect the challenge is many times people don't push through. Everyone is offered an opportunity to be challenged. It's an opportunity
Yeah.
from time to time. But you have to get to the other end for your mind to receive that. It's more like a notification. Yeah, she's the kind of person who follows through, who gets things done.
Mm.
And then when you have that a couple of times repeatedly, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you find yourself. The only thing your mind can think of is, we are going to push through. We are
Mm.
going to figure it out. I can do it. I can do it. So if you find those who are belabored by excuses, who are always using I can't, I can assure you that they have not been trying. That's why the earlier the better. If you feel like I really, oh, I can relate with what she's saying, but I don't think I have those proofs yet. I don't think I have collected enough receipts yet. I don't think I can even recollect some hard things I have done in the past. You start from today.
Yeah.
Maybe this season of motherhood is where you begin from, and then you do it diligently. You push through, you stretch yourself. Like Mary, you wake up at night if you have to, and then you find that your kids are 5, 10, 15, and then people begin to say, oh, she's like this. No. Then you tell them, oh, I did it. I did it. I didn't cut. There was no shortcut, but I did it. So I hope everyone on the call and those that will be listening to this later find that helpful. It is very, very helpful for you to push through. And the reverse is also true. If you quit too soon, if you are the kind of person who gives up too easily, your mind also collects that information and it comes up every time you are faced with something hard to do. And you only have to keep living, mamas. You only have to keep living. As far as you keep living, you will keep having to do hard things.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. For me,
You're welcome.
mentioned that if I had to. No, it wasn't if I had to. Like I had to.
Mm,
No, it wasn't. There was no other. If there were other option, it would have been if I had to.
yeah,
Was no
yeah.
option for me. Maybe because growing up, I never lived. My mommy was a businesswoman, so
Okay.
it was just a must for us to work because she's actually a thriver, like
Yeah.
yeah. So it was a must, and she was the only one taking care of 6 children. My dad was dead then. She was the only one taking care of 6 children. So
Wow.
we have to do it. So I would always be awake all through the night. Thank God she had a business a very good business she could call our own
Yeah.
at home that we can hold on, that can feed all of us. Understand? So because we know that we didn't have a choice, we had to make sure that we do it.
Yeah.
We have to choice, we have to make sure that we do it. And that actually, I think that actually helped me during this phase of me trying to build my own business while taking care of my children. So it wasn't like, oh, I have a choice. I don't have a choice. I
Yeah.
have to, because I'm actually this woman with the big dream anyways. I'm big dream anyways. So I would go all out, do everything I can do to make sure that, I do it. So I'm always like, I wait 24 hours. Okay, let me just not exaggerate. But really, I hardly sleep. But
Yeah.
I
And
take it.
just to add to that, I have it in my note. You know what I call it?
Mm,
I wrote here that if I'm going to leave everyone on the call with at least some few things, that if you forget anything, don't forget this. And something on my list is necessity demands that you continue to thrive
yeah.
and grow, no matter no matter what the situation is. And
Mhm.
that is what Mary just talked about. There no option. And these days, because we are in a generation where women would rather prefer to be soft,
Mm,
women would rather prefer to be pampered. If you make it so. But I love the way you just said it as it is.
mhm,
You have no option. In On the streets, they say it's either you survive or you die.
mm.
Remember in biology class when they taught us survival of the fittest?
Yeah, yeah.
They taught us theoretically, but I wish they had, added the fact that it's talking about life. It's not talking about just some vague things. That is the way life is. Is
Exactly.
either you live or you die.
Mm,
So to not be living is to keep dying. And nothing is actually static in the old world, not even the building we are seated in.
yeah.
You may not see it, but the molecules, the atoms, the particles of this building is
Mhm,
vibrating. Everything in the whole universe is moving.
mhm.
You cannot be the only thing in the whole universe that would be stuck.
That's
It doesn't, you can't be the only thing that will be stuck. It doesn't work like that.
mhm,
Seasons are changing. For I live in Canada, and for Canada we have winter, spring, summer. Right in Nigeria we have the harmattan is going to come, we have rainy season, we have dry season. And
mhm,
then the trees, they shed their leaf, then
mm,
after a while the leaf comes back again. And then do you get? And then if you leave a city, if you leave a city for maybe 5 months and you go back there, sometimes you are astonished, like, oh really, the last time I was here, this building was not here, this was not here.
mhm.
Because change was happening.
Exactly.
Because the world, God made the world so that everything that is going to live, have to be in motion. So necessity is upon us. Necessity is upon you, mama. Necessity is upon you, daddies, in case there are men here.
Mm,
So help us deliver to your wife that necessity is upon her to
yeah.
keep growing. And then, join Mary's community. And
Mm,
because I hope we go there. That's the next thing I wrote on my notes, like, that I would want people to go with. Necessity demands of you.
mhm,
It is necessary,
mhm.
right, for you to keep stretching, keep growing, and keep building in
Yeah,
every season. The way you will build in these seasons will be different, but build nonetheless. And then I hope we can talk about maybe strategies that helped. That's
yeah.
where community come in. And
Right.
then I would talk more about that then.
Right. I think one more thing that I think I want to have today's receipt collection, like you mentioned, that we might not have that collection already, but I think this silent season is a season
Yeah,
where we collect receipts. See,
yeah,
I'm here with you today because I'm having this conversation with you today because I've collected receipts. Yeah, I've collected it over the years. I've been thriving, trying to build something tangible for myself. Oh, I've gone through a lot and I've collected that receipt. That's why I can tell you that this is possible. That's why I can say confidently to you that it is possible for you to build that business and make it through. So please, moms in the house, start collecting your receipts even if you don't have one. So my
yeah.
next question Now, you compared newborn sleep deprivation to startup stress in your writing. When
Yeah.
a mom is exhausted from both at once and her business feels silent on top of that,
Mm.
she personally and professionally be doing differently in that season?
So I would say it's a season to deepen your foundations.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just have to accept the reality of the season you're in. It's going to be different, right? If this startup founder, who is a mom, who has a newborn, is a maybe 22-year-old, is a 22-year-old woman. She's got a newborn and she has a startup, right? And she's 22. You know, our reality is quite different from a 40-year-old woman who's got a newborn and a
Yeah.
startup at the same time.
Mhm.
So when it comes to what it is, I really, it's not one stroke for every one of us,
Mhm.
right? You're going to have to be the one to sit down and analyze your own situation to tell where you are, right? I'm in my mid 30s, right? Looking at 40, I won't compare myself to a 22-year-old or a 20-year-old. I
Exactly.
need sleep now than I used to. There was a time that people bragged on sleeping for 4 hours in a day, and it was good. But research now shows that hurts your health a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like 3 years ago, yeah, when I did my boot camp, when I moved here, and I did the first boot camp I did to pivot into tech, I had to sleep 3 hours in a day at times because I had young kids. The boot camp was intensive and overwhelming. So you have to do whatever you have to do. In the words of Oprah, I've heard her saying it recently. She kept saying, I've heard her say this repeatedly of late. She says, you do what you have to do so
Mhm.
that the time comes when you can do what you want to do.
Exactly. Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to lay that foundation that we are not trying to give you like a stereotyped formula.
Mhm.
One thing I've seen working with clients one on one coaching is that um, generic um, mentoring may not work for everyone. It's because we are all in different places. So with that foundation set, look at where you are. And one thing you can do in silent season is to deepen your root and your foundations. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to use myself as a case study. I've been at home for the past 11 months because my maternity leave after I had my third baby is a year. So I've been at home for 11 months now. It's kind of silent, right? I don't even feel like going out most days. You know what happened? You know that thing about having a baby, and you just prefer it in the house because if she's crying, we could both lay down on the bed and
Yeah.
just be turning and everything. But once you go out, you are either carrying them, they are crying, they are drawing attention. So I've been more, quiet and everything. But I have been dipping my foundations, and I think no matter your age, no matter your own peculiar situation, regardless of your peculiar situation, you can also deepen your foundations. What do I mean? You can learn. It's a good time to learn about your business. I'm doing the dishes and then my ears are plugged because I'm listening to a podcast that is related to my business. The worst thing you can do for yourself is to, because you are in this silent season, now become rusty. Do you get what I mean? For your craft, for your business, for whatever you do, you don't want to become rusty. You want to remain sharp. Just like the knife we used, you don't want to become blunt and obsolete and not knowing what is happening around you. So what can you do? This is like the worst. You are a startup. Startup itself it's crazy because, like she said, when you are starting up, you are so many things in one. Until you can begin to hire staff, you are the graphics designer, the brand this, the brand that, right? So you don't want to become rusty, right? You want to you join podcast, you can listen to audiobooks, for example. I read so much in like the first 3 months of my baby's life because she was a velcro baby who slept a lot on my body. So many times she's on my body and I put her like this, but it's a good time for me to read because I might just be at that spot for another 90 minutes. So it could just be 90 minutes where a baby is on my shoulder, but I'm able to read.
Mm-hmm.
So now it is not fun or glamorous because it doesn't look like what myself and Mary had. It doesn't look like what we're doing now. It's not flamboyant. It's not. It's nobody is there. But I dare you that that is actually what true growth looks like. It's personal. It's private. It's the things you do when nobody is there. So what you can do in silent season, no matter how overwhelmed you are, deepen your roots, build your foundations. If you have a business, for example, the few time you have spend it clarifying your brand positioning, your audience, the people. So it's going to be so helpful because when the season changes, that's one of the things I wrote in my note that I want to give you, and I think it's the right time to give you. I wrote here the next season is going to be shaped by this current season.
Exactly.
You think it is silent, you think so much is not happening, but how fast you move in the next season, how well you do in the next season
Yeah.
is going to be affected by the game you're playing in this current season.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I've been at home for 11 months. I spoke with her just about 15 minutes to this live call, and I had a baby on my back.
Mm.
I just wanted to put her to sleep so that I can do this live hands free and everything. So I'm telling you this to say I haven't had 3 hours or 4 hours to sit down with to sit down and prepare for this conversation. But because even though it's been a silent season, I'm either listening to a podcast at my spare time, reading a book. I'm in communities where I try to join the live conversations that are going on. The things that I can do, I am doing it.
Exactly.
You're going to sleep better every night, knowing that you did your best for that day. All that is required of you is your best.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a time to deepen your foundations. It's a time to learn, right? It's a time to get clarity. Silence, solitude, when you're withdrawn from the noise and from all the paparazzi going on in the world, is a good time for you to clear your mind, to get really clear about your mission statement, for example, your purpose, even the business itself, your offers, the things you want to, the game you want to play in the world of business or whatever you're doing. That time, they are very, very hard. These things I'm saying are sometimes harder than even making noise. Anyone can begin to say, I have coffee, come and buy. Anyone can do that. The hard mental work of actually sitting down and thinking about your thinking, it is hard. But those silent seasons, they give you an opportunity to do this heavy lifting of things that I believe are foundational and are very, very like basic to how high you can rise when the season changes. So the next season is going to be very much dependent on this current season, on the game you are playing right now.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. That was intense. What I think I just want to add to this is that I believe that what Lara just said is very vital for us to take. To put into action. Why do I say so? I remember when I was. I'm still building anyway. I'm still building my business. It's not like we've gotten to that peak, but
Yeah.
then while I was still in that phase where everything does not seems like it was working and things were slow, the moment I feel like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to do this anymore, maybe I'm not cut for this, That's, I mean, and I stop, learning. I stop building. What happened is doubt starts creeping in. That overwhelming thought starts creeping in. The next thing, I'm on social media doing unnecessary things. Do you understand? So it is always better for you to put yourself in order and be ready to build yourself, deepen your knowledge that period, because it is easy for you to creep out of what you are building for yourself. It is very easy for you to creep out of what you're building for yourself. It is very easy for doubt to start creeping in, telling you that it is not possible for you to do this. So it is, please try your best possible. Like, I have my own strategy. I have my own strategy. In fact, it is pinned out, as in at every point in time when I wake up, maybe I wake up to take care of my children, prepare them for school, and all of that. I know what I should be listening to at that moment. In fact, my alarms come up. You have to listen to this. You have to do this. Do you understand? And immediately I pin my pod in my hair. I'm listening while I'm walking. And I'm learning, I'm growing. I know that before the end of that day, I'd accumulated a whole lot of wisdom that has eventually helped the business I'm growing today. So please let us ensure that we are deepening our knowledge. That period, that feels like it's so quiet and nothing is happening. The things that we are actually expecting our business to do is not actually doing it at that moment. Thank you very much, Lara. So let's go. I have another question here before we eventually round up. So you said don't start with a hard thing that takes a year. Start
Yeah.
at a micro level. If a mom is in a season where her business feels completely silent, what
Mhm.
is the one small thing she can do this week to keep growing while she waits for it to move?
Oh, I love this question so much because everyone can relate to it, no matter where you are. And you know, like she said, it's so easy to to be swayed. I'm looking for the right word. It's so easy to get to find yourself in that place where it's how some people even begin to contemplate suicide. Do
Mm-hmm.
you get? It's so easy to get depressed
Mm.
when you're in silent seasons if you're not careful.
Mama, I have been,
So
I found myself in that state. Yeah.
yeah, postpartum depression. Yeah, the best of us, you know, probably suffered this. So it's so easy to get to that place. And one of the ways to keep going is just you need tokens. You need successes, no matter how small they are. You need things that remind you that you are actually living. One, it's called one. My coach, one of my coaches, he calls it one of the basic human aspirations, which means one of the things that we all aspire to is a sense of aliveness, a sense of I'm alive, a sense of meaning. My life is also counting for something. And one of the way you can have that is to have mini successes. Okay, for me, I'm building a coaching practice, and just like Mary, right? I'm building. There's so much ahead of me to do. So I cannot say the hard thing I want to start with is to feel maybe an arena in New York that seats 10,000 people. How about an Instagram live like this? And
Exactly.
then I finish doing it. And that feeling of, I did it.
Yeah.
I get that right now.
That,
Even though I'm looking forward to the day I'm going to feel at that stadium with people listening to me because I pulled up a personal development workshop, whatever, retreat or whatever. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that's what I mean. No matter what you're building, I believe that there's something that you can do in the coming week, that you can do in August, that's going to give you a feeling of, whoo, I did that.
moment, yeah.
That you need such moments from time to time. You cannot do without them for too long, and it's not okay for your mental health.
Mm.
And it's different. it may even be with your kids, but because I know, look, it takes so much to do this.
Mm.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Just to put your presence on the internet, for example, you need a good phone. And I like to remember where I'm coming from,
Mm-hmm.
so that I have empathy for people who are still there. Sometimes the only reason why you think somebody is doing better than you take your pictures, and also it's just because the quality of the phone is different. They are using iPhone 17, and maybe you are using one Techno, and it's okay,
Yeah.
right? So I want that goal to be commensurate with what level you're in. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
with your child. Maybe your child is struggling with something, because I'm not an advocate of, like I said, I'm not an advocate of giving generic information to everybody. But I know wherever you are, if you're sincere, there's something you can do this week,
Mm-hmm.
this coming week, in this month, that if you follow through and you get to the end, you would have invested in your self-image. You would have a receipt
Mm.
that reminds you, that fills your mind and tells your mind that, oh, Lola, oh, Stacy is the kind of person who gets results, who pulls through. So it could be anything. It could be, I want to bring it down to what we can all relate with. It could be as simple as, I'm going to read 10 pages a day this
Exactly.
week, because I'm big on, no matter how stuck you think you are, you just need a bigger light to find yourself in a different environment, feeling, and everything. So I'm a heavy proponent of always learning and reading. Of course, applying what you're learning to, because it is in application that we truly learn. But at least, so it could be as simple as setting a goal to read 10 pages a day for this week,
Mm-hmm.
or even 5 pages if that is all you can accommodate. But like merit or necessity, you don't even have an option. Maybe you should even make it 30,
Yeah. Mm.
right? Maybe you should make it 30. Are we still together? But whatever it is for you, it could be as simple as that, and do it.
Mm.
And do it. And at the end of the week, you look at it, I did it. I read 10 pages a day. And maybe you haven't done that since January. Maybe you haven't even picked a book to read. It could be as easy as journaling. Do you get what I'm saying? These are simple things that are not that are not done for the gram, but they will give you clarity. It could be as easy as, I'm going to journal my thoughts 3 times this week. And you do it. It could be as easy as, it could be as basic as anything. Maybe you have a child struggling with speech, for example, struggling to read, and you set a goal that this week you are going to do some phonics lessons with them, and you do it. You have a feeling of you did that's something meaningful, so that it doesn't look like it's all about business. No, even in the home, it could even be on your character. Maybe you have gotten the feedback that you need to work a lot on your patience. You lose it too easily with the kids, and many times it's not about them. It's a pointer to something that you need to work on. And so it could be as easy as setting a goal to respond to your kids and connect with them better this week, and you are intentional about it. And then you know how these kids can get on your nerves, and they are getting on your nerves, but this goal is before you, and you are squeezing your finger like this, and you say, I'm going to keep my tone. You have grown, you are growing capacity and character. And then one day you'll find yourself in a C-suite, CEOs, CFOs, and all of you around the table, and one of them is being nasty. And then this skill that you have learned from your kids comes handy. You could lose it at that moment, but then you have built capacity when you were in a silent season, tending to your kids. You have learned how not to let, not to self, you have learned how to self regulate, and to calm your own nervous system. Maybe with the kids, you have learned to also take deep breaths like you tell them to do, you know. And then these kids are just, you've told them, pick this thing up. You said it 10 times. And then by the 11th time, you're about to shout. Let me let me breathe in deeply. Okay, can you pick that one up? It's going to come back handy one day,
Yes.
somewhere, and then so it could be as simple as that, but you need proofs along the way. Even the best of us cannot sustain working hard every day without anything that looks like success, that looks like a reward. So that's what I mean by don't start by aiming to do the hardest thing in your business. If all your business needs right now is that it is not even clear enough, if I ask you right away for your numbers, maybe you don't know it. If I ask you right away, for your ideal audience, maybe it's not clear. Maybe you have it written as one page, and all you do this week is turn it to few lines. You would have lifted a heavy weight. So I hope that I'm sure you find that helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. What I just want to add to that is that clarity is in the journey.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
if you are always saying that you want to do this and you've not even started at all, you will never gain clarity. You will remain at this point. Like there are so many things, that comes with you moving, you taking action on a daily. Like when you take today's action, it gives you clarity on what to do next. It gives you more understanding, widens your understanding of how to move forward. Because you know that you know that Sorry, are we to can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're back now.
Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, sorry about that. So clarity is in the journey. Let's take that conscious little step. The more we take it, the more we gain clarity on how to build our business even better. So my question now is that a lot of mom in silent season think the silent season means something is wrong with them. What do you want to say to her about that?
Nothing is wrong with you. It's as simple and basic as that. Ask anybody up there. There's this lady, I see her kids, Timidakolo's wife. I don't really know her up close, no, but when I see, our children on Instagram, they are now as tall as the parent. Maybe because I saw those children when they were babies, also on Instagram, and it looked just like yesterday. So
Mm,
now when I see their pictures, the kids as I'm like, of course, I think she clocked 40 not long ago, so she probably started early
mhm,
to have kids in their teens, that early, but every time I look at that, I look at those pictures because I cannot say her, I look at those things they put out where, there's a picture of the whole family and they're all the same height. I look at it with so much admiration.
mm,
I look at it because I'm like, oh my goodness. So someday my kids are going to just, they'll be able to make food themselves and everything. But if you ask her, I said that to say, if you ask her, she's going to tell you about her silent seasons. You cannot have a 15-year-old without first having a 1-year-old.
mm,
So every human being, think of Ibukun Awoshika, think
mm,
of anybody you hold in high esteem, Okonjo Iweala, all these women that have risen up, they would have their own stories of hard seasons, right? The only thing we must ensure is that like them, the story does not end with our hard seasons. We must thrive and strive to go to the other end
mm.
where we don't look like people who ever had these seasons. So there's nothing wrong with you. No, in
Nothing.
fact, I wrote it here. I want you to go away with it. There is no temptation.
Mm,
I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian, and so most of my coaching strategies and methodologies is rooted in the Word of God. You will see in the Word of God, the Bible says there's no temptation that is peculiar to you. as a human being, which means there is nothing you're going through that people have never gone through before. People have gone through it, survived it, done, handled it, and so you'll be good. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just perfect. It's part of the package.
Yeah, well, if I'm good today, you can be good. That's that one thing I can tell you. So now let's go back to our first question. Now, if a mom in a quiet season took everything you shared with us today to heart, what do you think would change for her? Like if they should, I mean, any mom right now in a quiet season, she start doing everything that you have told us about tonight. What is that thing that you think that, I mean, for her?
Yeah, okay. So you're going to have new paradigms. It's just the same thing. New paradigms, new mindsets, right? That causes you to keep growing. Now, we've talked about deepening your roots. We've talked about necessity is
Yes.
upon you. Necessity means growth is not negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
You negotiate some things.
Mm-hmm.
You negotiate like maybe I will do it, maybe I will not. But for you to keep growing is non-negotiable. You do it for your kids, you do it for yourself, you do it because God, your creator, demands that of you. So if you take everything we have discussed today and we do it, you're just going to see that you keep expanding. Let me put it that way. You are just like an elastic, right? You see an elastic band, it's probably this length, and like if my 1 year old says that, because she has never seen an elastic band, she may not in her wildest dream think that same thing can become this wide.
Exactly.
But she's playing with it. She's playing with it. Maybe she played with it on the first day. She just turned it. Then it probably takes her some time before one day she just does like this. And then she's like, "Oh, are you kidding me? This thing expanded." You are
Exactly.
like that elastic band. You have capacity to keep expanding. And so doing everything we have said on this call will just make sure you keep expanding and your path, keeps shining brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter.
Oh my God, thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. I myself personally have learned a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I hope that every mom here today knows that you're not alone. You're not alone. There are many of us in this season, and we are doing it actually. We are doing it. We are going through the season and we're able to, get out of it. It is possible. It is possible. Just know that this quiet season has a purpose for you. Walk through that part and you will be fine. You will be fine. That's why we have people like Lara that talks about your personal and professional growth, how you can grow. Just you need to follow her. There's a whole lot of gems that she has for you as a woman building your business. So please, let's follow her. So what more do you have to tell us today before we wrap it all up? And let's just hear you out. And where can
Yeah.
we find you? How do you want us to follow you? And just
Uh, Follow us on Instagram. Follow the
okay,
both of us. In
okay.
case you have not done that, follow us on Instagram. That's number one. I'm going to follow you back as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow you back. Follow us, and then, but following me is very important. But like I said, I want to leave you with this key things. I want them to keep ringing in your mind. Number one, necessity is laid upon you to
Hmm.
keep growing, to keep expanding. Um, okay, I wanted to talk about the story of Paul, but I won't talk about it today. But it's a story where for him to go and do that thing, he was told that he will be bound up, he will probably be killed. His response, necessity is laid on me to still do it. You must see your growth as that. Your growth, which is your expansion, your ability to keep developing new mindset, perspective, and doing things on a bigger scale and just keep expanding. Necessity is laid upon you. It is necessary, it is not optional. When it is optional, it means maybe I choose it, maybe I don't, right? For example, follow me. I like for you to follow me, please. But it is optional for you to do that. Yeah, it is. It is optional. I'm not going to come after you and say, why didn't you follow me? I'm not going to do that. It's optional. But for you to keep growing, necessity is laid upon you. It is demanded of you. Then number two, no excuses is peculiar to you.
Mhm.
I have five kids. There are people with 10 and 12 in maybe harder situations than you. And they're kicking butts. They are doing things. They're breaking legs everywhere. So at the end, the next season, Mama is counting on this season. The
Mhm.
next season depends on this season. I want you to keep those three things. So follow me on Instagram. I'm also on Substack, Lara Onipede. I have a publication that goes out as frequent as my silent season allows me to put it out, right? I have a beautiful one coming up next week, all about abundance. We now have abundance of everything, abundance of information, and how that affects our personal development. So follow me on Instagram, and then let's keep making progress.
That's very important.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
And yeah, and I would like to, I don't know if I'll have an opportunity to talk again. So let me say it now. I would like to appreciate Mary as well for, the compassion
Yeah.
that you carry for moms, for women, to see them keep growing. It's easy, you have grown, right? You've paid your dues to some measure. So it's easy to just sit up there. But the compassion and empathy that makes you believe in other moms and in let's do this, let's talk about this. I appreciate it so much. And I feel privileged that I get to do this with you. Follow
Thank
her, please, and let's rally people for her. Like I just did. I send this to people's inboxes and all of that. And I'm sure even beyond this moment, we'll have people watch later. Send this conversation to them. So, Mary, you're doing an amazing job. I'm so glad to do this with you.
you.
I'll
Thank
probably come back a few months from now. Is that
you.
okay?
Very appreciate that was a whole lot for me. Oh my god. It makes me feel excited. Thank you very much. So guys, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you very much. You just know that this quiet season is not the end of it for you. Keep thriving. Keep thriving. It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. Do everything to make sure. And please follow me. There are so many things that you will be getting, how to build your business, the things the strategies you can put in place, things like that will keep coming. And of course, inspirational, motivational, and the motherhood life, you will keep getting that. So please follow me as well. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you, Lara, for choosing this day with us. I really do appreciate you. God bless you so much. And I pray that this journey of yours will be a beautiful one. It will end in, everything that you so desire, the Lord God Almighty will grant unto you. And please, guys, I don't joke with prayer personally. Please do not joke with prayer. I don't think there is I can so love my business. I want to make sure but my priority, my number one is God. I mustn't lie to you. When I have Him, I believe that every other thing is possible. It makes everything spring in its own time. So please make sure that He is your priority. Put Him as number one, and He will do it just as your soul so desire. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. If you have questions, we really run out of time. But if you have questions, you can always drop it in my DM. I will definitely forward it to Lara so that she can give us a good answer to that. Thank you very much. Do have a wonderful night rest. Lara, bye. Thank